Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, submitted for the approval of the Nintendo Cartridge Society, the strange case of Cooking Mama, Cookstar. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including what the heck happened with that new Cooking Mama game. And then on Thursday, Retro Month continues with Super Metroid. But Mark, in the meantime, how you doing?
I'm doing great. So happy to be here with you, Patrick. And listeners,
Yes.
We hope you are healthy and happy no matter where you are. So I've been working from home recently, and that means that I've been using like my bedroom dresser as a makeshift stand-up desk, which
Yes.
I think is good for my back, but it's making me realize how terrible my posture is.
Posture's hard, man. Like being a biped is not a natural state. Like I know we're like, yeah, walking upright, that's the perfect thing for humans to do. It's not. It is bad for your body to stand upright.
Have you seen those and maybe this is targeted because I've seen the ads on Instagram, but have you seen those like harness type things that you can buy that basically you like put it over your shoulders almost like a backpack, and then you pull the straps and it's supposed to like force you to like stand up straight? What I'm saying is that's not a terrible idea. Like I should maybe buy one of these things.
Well, that I like that you are finding a way to take what you have in your apartment, right, and like repurpose it as you're turning a dresser into a desk, right? I have turned a jar of marinara sauce with some twinkle lights into a lamp. So that's cool.
Truly is our own little like Animal Crossing crafting thing.
Oh, speaking of Animal Crossing crafting thing, I took another one of these strings of twinkle lights and I put it behind that like amiibo shelf thing that I have, the one that like holds 16 amiibo, and I filled it with just Animal Crossing amiibo, and then I made it so that like the lights change color. And like they sort of like fade up and down with like sparkly lights, and it's amazing. I just get to see all my favorites glowing on the shelf next to me while I'm watching TV.
That does sound amazing.
It's a dang dream come true. Speaking of dreams coming true, how would you like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch? Maybe someday. The program is on hiatus right now. If you would like to have your name added to the list of people who will genuinely someday borrow my copy of Sonic Forces, all you got to do is send us an email at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com. And give us a mailing address that I can send my copy of this game to you. As soon as I'm not nervous about going to the post office, the program will resume.
You know, I was listening back to our episode last week, and I think I was coming in a little bit early on the @gmails.com. So today I'm going to like hedge my bets and do it later than I thought I should, and we'll see how that works out. You laughed, so that means I don't think it was very good.
No, but the thing is, my perspective on it doesn't mean anything. My perspective on it is going to sound just as bad as your perspective on it, but in the opposite direction. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
What I think happened was I think you said it way slower than I said it, but I think I also say it faster when I don't hear you saying it with me at the same time. Right? Like, I think hearing the chorus makes me slow down. And I don't know if you're just well-trained enough that I don't know why you've got it nailed and I don't.
I think also that like we've been trying to not say it because it is a little more haphazard than it has been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering if we should actually try to say it more so that way we have more opportunities to get it right.
I think that's a perfect idea. If you would like to participate in our perfect ideas, you can email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
At
at
gmail.com.
gmail.com. Perfect. Thanks to everyone who has added us as friends on Switch. I gotta just say, it has been amazing to every time I turn on my Switch have at least a friend request. And it's amazing how many of you are playing Animal Crossing. And I just want more of it. Our friend descriptions, our friend codes are in the description of every episode. So please join us. I love seeing what people are playing, and you can see what we're playing. So you can call us out on, when we're like, oh, I haven't been playing anything, and be like, you've been playing Mario Kart again.
Yeah, it's been absolutely delightful. And also, thank you to Marlock505 for leaving us a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast Store. We appreciate you leaving reviews wherever you get your podcasts. We, of course, only check Apple Podcasts in the United States.
Of course, that's the only place we check. And then, of course, we are in the month of April right now. You know this. I know this. Mark knows this. In the month of April, we are playing Super NES Classics. You know this. I know this. Mark knows this. This week, we are playing Super Metroid and talking about it on Thursday, which means you need to get your observations about Super Metroid to us by Wednesday at the latest. I'm having a great time playing this game. Mark is playing this game, and he's not revealed his hand yet as to whether he's having a great time. But I would love to have as many different voices in the conversation as we can. So go ahead and email those to us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And then next week, we are going to be playing Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. And the week after that, April 24th, we are going to be playing Star Fox, which I have promised to beat. Much to my own chagrin. So, there we go. Please play along with us. We're having fun. You should have fun too. Mark, before we get into what we've been playing, we've got an email from Connor, longtime listener Connor. And two things. There are two things in this email. One is that he is doing an Ocarina of Time stream, raising money for relief for COVID-19, people suffering from it. And so if people want to go to his Twitch channel to check it out, 4 p.m. Pacific time, I think every afternoon he's doing this. Twitch.tv/ConzIsCool69. Rad, Connor. That's rad. that's ConzIsCool 69, and check that out. But he also sent a question or an observation about the Super Mario remaster rumor that we were talking about last week. Just to catch up, everyone, if they weren't listening. Basically, all of the websites at once started reporting on a rumor that Nintendo was looking to remaster basically every 3D Mario game for the Switch, and also a Paper Mario was coming out too. Here is Connor's observation. You've obviously heard the rumor reported by a few outlets about potential Super Mario remasters and the new Paper Mario game in the vein of the first two in the series. About a month ago, and then in parentheses, as one of a million commercial actors in LA, I received two super interesting casting calls. They were both for commercials. The first one was calling for huge fans of the Super Mario series and asked for detailed favorite memories when playing Super Mario games. The second one was asking for Paper Mario fans, asking for similar memories or experiences with the game. These recent rumors have me feeling pretty dang confident that they might both actually happen. I'm biased, but really feel like this gives credibility to the rumors and feels like this stuff is all but confirmed. Anyway, I had to share this because it feels huge, especially considering the lack of word from Nintendo on the big stuff in 2020.
That's awesome.
That's wild, right? So you heard it here. Connor is confirmed.
I mean, it is the 35th anniversary of Mario this year, of the release of Super Mario Brothers, and so it's possible that it's like unrelated. The fact that they're also like, and also, something about Paper Mario, it all feels very, it's all coming together. To me, I'm 100% in.
I am 4% in. I don't think. I think 1/25th of this is real. But thank you, Connor, for the inside scoop. And again, check out his Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ConZisCool69. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing. Mark, I've got news for you about Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Oh, yeah. Lay it on me.
You can leave your town unattended for at least 2 days at a time.
What?
My buddy Pete sent me a text and he said, "Oh, tell Mark I didn't check on my island Friday or Saturday, and nobody seemed any different when I came back on Monday."
This is great news.
Yes. Yeah. Right? Now you know that at least 2 days is fine.
Yeah, Pete, thank you so much for doing that research.
I mean, I think he was playing Resident Evil 3, so like he just wasn't going to be,
Oh yeah, did you pick up Resident Evil 3? I haven't picked it up yet.
No, I have not. Here's the thing: Final Fantasy comes out at the end of this week, and I'm not going to buy both of these games, but like I need to buy one of them. I know this is a Nintendo show, and we're talking about what we were playing this week and not what we might be playing next week. But I think I gotta go for Final Fantasy. Where are you on that?
So ever since I moved last August, my PS4 has been just like in its box. I think I'm with you though that if I were going to buy one, I would buy the Resident Evil 7. I mean Final Fantasy 7 remake.
I mean we played that demo at E3 last year, RIP, and then I played the demo again when they released it on the PlayStation Network, and I'm super excited for the way it plays. I've been hearing mostly great things about it because the review embargo broke yesterday. So yeah, I mean I'm super hyped about it, and like Resident Evil 3 was always a little bit of like a lower tier Resident Evil, even in like the in the pantheon of Resident Evils that I love. So like that's one that I'll get around to, and like I can't wait to buy that game on a Capcom sale for $30,
Totally. Do we know since the review embargo is over with for Final Fantasy 7, I haven't read any of them. Do we know like when this first part ends? Is it Midgard like everybody was speculating?
So I think it's my understanding that is about correct, like that it is around that area, but that towards the end of the game, it starts to like spin out into less concrete ideas and more like sort of abstractions about Cloud's past and all of that stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Which either plays into like later original game stuff, or maybe even reveal something new about the characters in the world. So like it is definitely the story of Midgar plus.
Yeah, that's really exciting. One thing I wanted to add about Animal Crossing New Horizons last week, Lizzie sent us an email asking what like our favorite like cute little detail in the game was. And I was saying that it was the character singing. As I've been putting more time into it and like seeing them at different times of the day, what I just love is like just in general, like the inner lives of the characters. Like, I have Mitzi who loves to read, and then Bianca, I think her name is. She's like a tiger who wants to be like a pop star, and she just like runs around kind of with like fun abandon. Like that kind of stuff is so much fun. The other thing I really love is when you're in the clothes shop and you go into the dressing room, and I guess really this happens at your like house too when you're changing and you're choosing from all the options, and every time you pick an item of clothing your character does a different pose. Like I really really love that.
All that stuff is amazing. The inner lives, like 100%, is something that I love. I love seeing that different characters have like different kinds of drinks that they like. Like I've got this eagle named Celia who always drinks out of like a little mason jar with a handle. And then Agnes, who is this pig who was one of my first neighbors, I love her. I love Agnes. My two original neighbors I love more than any other video game character this year. And she's always drinking cans of soda. So she's always like drinking from a can. It's so cute.
I set up the campsite in
I
my
did too.
town, and so like that's kind of how you can invite people who come to the campsite. You can invite them to stay in your village, and so like the first time I go in, it's like this frog type thing in already forgot his name because I was just like messing around. It was my first time doing it, so I accidentally invited him. And so then I was like, okay, well, I'm just not going to go in to and talk to Isabel and like make him a permanent resident or whatever. Maybe it was Tom Nook. But you can't. He just sticks around until you do because I had already like
Oh.
half invited him. So then I had to like invite him, move him into my town, and now I'm just ignoring him and reporting him to Isabel so that way he'll leave because I don't want him in my town.
That's I'm a little bit fearful that when because I just set up the campground today, so it's going to open tomorrow. I am fearful that there are going to be potential neighbors coming that I don't because like I said, I'm in love with all of my neighbors.
Well, you don't have to invite them. So like
Okay.
so you visit them at the campsite and then you talk to them and it's a very clear like dialogue option where it's like,
Yeah, you
oh,
just
maybe you
messed
should
it
move
up.
here. No. So I chose it assuming that I'd be able to back out later or that I was like
Gotcha.
advancing the conversation, but I'd have a chance to abandon. No.
Mark,
once
you
choose
tease.
it, once you choose it, you are committed and they are moving to your town, as far as I can tell, no matter what. So just like be cautious of like, like really be sure before you say yes is what I'm saying.
So this game continues to be an absolute delight. How are you finding Bunny Day and the attendant eggs?
I find them, like a lot of people, to be a little much. Like,
Mhm.
it's annoying. I don't mind them in the trees. I don't mind them like in the sky. It's annoying when you're like digging up holes and you're like, yes, a fossil or something great, and it's just another egg. And
Mhm.
I don't love it in like the fishing either. But we're almost halfway through it, so we'll get through it together.
Yeah, I mean it ends on Sunday, right? The 12th?
Is it the 12th or the 14th? I can't remember. It's
I
probably the 12th
I don't know.
because I think it's Easter, so that would make sense.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it just fine. I have crafted every Bunny Day item at this point. Um so I every time I get an egg now, I'm just like, great, I'm gonna sell it. And
Mm-hmm.
that is fine. You get 200 bells for an egg, so like, great. 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 And I also and I'm going to keep this until Bunny Day is over. My house, like my main room of my house, is just filled with the Bunny Day stuff. It's all the clothes are up on the wall, all 7 outfits, and the shoes like on the ground. That awful bed, the vanity, the dresser, a table, a stool, something that like it's maybe a lamp that sits on the table. There's a clock. There's a backpack. There's a Bunny Day wreath. I've got the flooring. I've got the wallpaper. It's all there.
You
I crafted it
maniac.
all. Yes.
I crafted the like outfit. I think like the first one I got was like the pink one, whatever egg that is. And so I was
Yeah.
wearing it for a little bit, and I loved that like when you're running, you like make a little more like clomping sound because you're wearing wooden shoes. But I could only I liked it because of its like hideousness, but have since moved on to different things.
Yeah, well, I there was a while where I was really into like having different outfits because I had the magic wand, which allows you to store 8 different outfits that you can just change into on the fly while you're like out in the world. Um, but I have recently begun my Billy Corgan cosplay, where I'm doing my best to make my little villager Billy Corgan, the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins. And they don't let you go bald, so I've got his hair from like 1994, which is like black and messy. And I'm wearing a black shirt that says 0 in silver letters, and there's a little star on it. And the back room in my house, because I have one little extra room, is lined with the Smashing Pumpkins album covers as posters. And there's also like a guitar like effects pedal board in there, and like my record player. Like that room is like classy and a room that I would like to spend time in real life. And then the front room is just this bunny day nightmare.
Are all the records like? Did somebody post like the custom images? Like, how did you get them in there?
So, I did it the same way that I made my flag the Nintendo Cartridge Society logo, by going to a website that now I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's like Animal Crossing custom images, or like AC images, something like that. Just Google it and you'll find it pretty quickly. And you can upload any square image to this thing, and it converts it into Animal Crossing, and then gives you a QR code which you can then scan and then download into the game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Whoever set that up is doing the God's honest work there, because it's amazing.
Oh, one more thing. So last week you were talking about you had like a meteor shower in your village, and yeah. So I had the same thing this week where like the owl at the museum, I don't know what, Blathers, that his like sister or whatever is in town.
Celeste.
Celeste, yeah, and that's the pink owl, and that's how you know that you can like look up in the sky and make wishes, and then the next day you get like star fragments. But yeah, that was like super fun.
Yeah, it makes it so it's just fun to like hang out on the island, and like every time you hear like the little twinkling, you're like, ooh, I'm gonna wish.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah, continues to be a wonderful game. Yeah, I will talk about it every week until we stop. You know, I have also been playing obviously Super Metroid. And I guess I'll hold any further observations about that game, other than to say that I just love it to pieces. That's the one thing I'll say right now. And then also, Sarah and I were playing a little Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because it's a great game that we can, I feel like every couple months the game comes up for one of the two of us, because it's an all-timer, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm still like making my way through trying to get 3 stars in every cup. I beat Super Metroid last night, and then I was like, oh, I'm not ready to stop gaming. Maybe I'll turn on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for a little bit. But my like thumbs hurt from jamming on the buttons in when I was playing Super Metroid on my like Joy-Cons so hard that I was like, I physically should not like play video games anymore. So I didn't end up getting very far.
I wonder if you could do Mario Kart with the automatic acceleration on. And then you just don't have to use your right thumb very much.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I've never played with it on. I don't know if it would be fun.
I mean, otherwise you're just holding accelerate the whole time anyway.
Yeah,
right?
I guess that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. It always yeah, I've never really tried it. It's always just felt like, why would you take that control away from me? But maybe it actually makes sense. Maybe I should.
Yeah.
Maybe I should like the whole time anyway. Exactly. Yeah, maybe I should just release myself to the system. Trust the program.
All right. Well, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Today, April 7th, Disaster Report 4 Summer Memories is released for Switch. I talked about playing the demo last week, and I genuinely encourage people to check out the demo, because I have never played a game like this game before, and I found it really endearing, if not like something I wanted to pick up.
Yeah, and that's the one that's basically just like a disaster simulator.
Yes, with like yeah, like kind of like a choose your own adventure type disaster simulator. And then the rest of the week, nothing crazy that I wanted to call out. But there are some titles releasing on April 8th. You get Galaxy of Pen and Paper, Convoy, a tactical roguelike. On Thursday, April 9th, Fight of Animals, which the cover art for this is kind of funny because it's just like a bunch of like really swole animals.
That's pretty cool.
And then on Friday, April 10th, RMX Real Motocross is released.
So a little bit of a quiet time, but we all got Animal Crossing.
We all
so.
got Animal Crossing. And Tetris
All right.
99 always. And
Yep.
like I have so many games in my backlog that I could be using this time to get to, but I mean Dragon Quest
you've got
11S, Echoes of a Definitive Age, or Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition.
Yeah, but also you've got 25-year-old Super Nintendo games that we need to play.
Exactly. Great point.
All right. Well, let's close out the new releases. It's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. And I realized that we sorted did 433 already when we talked about Resident Evil and Final Fantasy VII for a while. But we have decided that we are going to discuss the anniversary gifts by year as we understand them. Like the you said the 50th is gold?
Gold, right?
Okay.
And
and
like
I know
and like 60th is diamond and all that kind of stuff.
Right. And the first anniversary is paper, and also it's my understanding that there are like separate lists. But we are going by the Hallmark.com list. Thank you, Hallmark.
Right. Well, I mean, you were mentioning that there's like a new list, like a modern list, and then also an old-fashioned list, because like so many of the things on here, this feels like a very old-fashioned this feels almost like Depression era, but maybe it's older than that, where like every year we're going to buy something, and some of it's really earthy and like accessible.
Well, okay, like just for an example here, and like I can see the like kind of churched up versions of the first couple of these, because the first year is paper, so like that one's kind of easy, right? Like you can do like a either like a book or like a scrapbook of like your memories. Like it's really easy to be sweet with that one and like church it up, right? Second anniversary, cotton. I mean,
the fabric of our lives.
The fabric of our lives. Give them some underwear. Third anniversary, leather. Self-explanatory. Fourth anniversary, fruit or flowers. Is the fourth anniversary the edible arrangements anniversary?
Edible arrangements, 1-800-Flowers. This feels like a backslide for sure.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like Valentine's Day garbage.
Yeah, this feels like you forgot it's Mother's Day this weekend and it's Thursday.
Can we jump ahead to the 6th anniversary, which is listed on Hallmark.com? Again, thank you, Hallmark. Is candy or iron?
Okay, this feels like you're selecting items for your Pokemon to hold, right?
To not look, fruit or flowers, yes. Like for these feel similar in a category to me. Candy or iron, unless we're talking about supplements, these do not feel like they belong in the same year. Again,
so maybe the 6th anniversary is gummy vitamins. Maybe that's what it is.
And then also, Hallmark.com is hedging their bets a little bit, because you get to the 8th anniversary and it's pottery or bronze. And then the 9th anniversary is like willow, or pottery. So like pottery could work for your 8th anniversary, but if you forgot, you could do it for its 9th as well.
So what is, for the 9th anniversary, what is willow? What does that mean?
I don't know. The wood?
Either the wood, or you're getting someone like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer action figure of Willow.
Okay, well, here I clicked into it, and this is what Stacey Donovan of Hallmark.com wrote on September 13, 2015. She says, for spouses, budget, pack a big picnic basket with all their favorite things, splurge, assemble a small custom-made gift basket with a favorite hobby in mind, buy wicker furniture for the yard or patio, and then if you're giving it for another couple, she suggests give them a wicker laundry basket filled with detergent, fabric softener, and other essentials.
I don't like that one at all. Other essentials. Come on. They're celebrating their 9th anniversary. Although, look, everything that we've kind of crapped on from the beginning to now pales in comparison to the 10th anniversary, which is tin or aluminum. Which I don't even know where to start with that.
I mean, I guess with aluminum, you could get somebody an Apple product, right?
Explain why.
Well, because like they're like so many of them are made with, as Johnny Ive used to say, aluminium.
Okay, I guess that's okay. And then the 11th anniversary is steel, which seems
Wait, no,
pretty
no.
intense.
I'm sorry. I have to go back because
Yes.
again, to talk about 10th anniversary, Stacey Donovan.
Yeah.
June 18th, 2018. So she's been working for Hallmark.com for at least 3 years. So good for her. Her suggestions are for spouses on a budget, give them an old-fashioned metal lunchbox to take to work.
That is a cool gift.
Or can I just tell you what the alternative is? The splurge is a vacation in Mexico. Those are the 2 suggestions.
How? How is that tin? That stand for something? Anyway, we were accompanied today by, I didn't write it down and I closed the window, so I apologize. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
All right, we're starting off the news tonight with trying to figure out what's happening with Cooking Mama Cookstar. And Patrick, I'm looking to you to guide us through this one.
Okay, so Cooking Mama Cookstar was released both physically and on the Nintendo Switch eShop last week. And over the weekend, it was pulled from the store. Now, some people wanted to know why it was pulled from the store. And it was unclear, murky for a bit, including murky probably because there were also people on Twitter saying, hey, this thing is using your Switch's processing power to mine for cryptocurrency, and it is overheating Switches and bricking them. So naturally, the official Cooking Mama Twitter account denies that this is the case, and the Twitter account gave the following statement, quote, "The internet is alive with rumors that Cooking Mama Cookstar contains hidden cryptocurrency/blockchain capabilities that are causing the Switch to overheat. That is absolutely incorrect. At Planet Entertainment, we explored both blockchain technology and cryptocurrency tokens. We looked at those options as a means to allow players to trade in-game assets. However, we only explored the theory behind the concept, not the implementation. Cooking Mama Cookstar, nor any of its other titles in the past or future will utilize crypto technology."
I was kind of hoping that the statement would be written from like in character as Cooking Mama.
Yeah, well, opportunities lost, I guess. They just wanted to get out in front of this one. We're like, hold on.
Also, this is crazy.
This is a wild story. Yeah, yes. And the fact that they're like, no, what we're doing, and actually this answers a question that we've sort of tossed around on this show before, of like, what is Nintendo doing with their the various games that they don't allow to use cloud storage for, like Pokemon and Splatoon and all of that stuff to back up your save data. And they do that largely because they don't want people like unfairly duplicating like items or experience points or whatever. And one way to like get around that would in fact be using blockchain technology, where the information isn't on any single local source, right? That's why cryptocurrency, you can't just be like, you can't just go into the background and like change a 5 to a 6 and suddenly have way more money. The same, if they were exploring the same sort of idea, then it would make sense that there would be an article out there or a memo or something that says Cooking Mama Cookstar utilizes crypto technology or blockchain technology to maintain the integrity of their trading market, or something along those lines. But it still doesn't answer the question of why are people reporting that this game is bricking their Switches, and why was it removed from the eShop? Well, we got a little bit more information about that on Monday, where it turns out that the game's publisher, Planet Entertainment, published the game against the wishes of Cooking Mama's IP holder, Office Create. So evidently the developer or not the developer, the publisher and the IP holder have been at odds throughout the course of this thing. And the Cooking Mama IP holder wanted them either to delay the game or just straight up cancel it because it was running so poorly, because it was not well optimized, which is why it was overheating and breaking Switches. So we've got a couple statements that came in to Screen Rant from a developer at First Playable, which is now the developer. That's right. There are 3 companies involved in this: developer, publisher, IP holder. So anyway, this developer wrote into Screen Rant, and I just pulled a couple quotes that we can talk about. First is, quote, "The statement about cryptocurrency was all buzzwords. The head of Planet Entertainment knows very little about these things. He just put some fancy language to get potential investors who like that stuff. As for the crashes overheating, that would be because the game is made in Unity by many people working on their first game." So that makes some sense there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next quote, quote, "There's a legal battle between the publisher, Planet Entertainment, and the IP holder, Office Create. Planet Entertainment released the game against a request by Office Create to keep polishing the game, or perhaps even canceling it." Sort of what I said before. And the last little bit that I pulled out from his statement is, quote, As I understand, Planet Entertainment is suing Office Create for having it removed for money lost. It's hard to say if it will ever be released properly."
That is crazy.
So Mark,
all of this is crazy for like a Cooking Mama game.
Yeah, it's Cooking Mama. Like, Cooking Mama had such like an identity on the DS and was part of like that wave of like everyone can play games that the DS and the Wii were so well known for. It'd be like finding out that like the Brain Age game on Switch was like the source of some like huge controversy. So what do you think? Do you think they're ever going to figure this thing out, or like is this game just going to disappear into the recesses of nothing?
I feel like it's going to disappear into the recesses of nothing, which is like, I guess if you bought a copy, good for you.
Yeah.
This thing is going to be like a like collector's item for sure.
It's going to be the new Ring Fit Adventure. Which, by the way, you still can't get for less than $300.
Hey, Patrick, did you realize that Persona 5 Scramble has not been announced for a Western release?
I think it's pretty obvious that I did not know that.
I had no idea. I thought for whatever reason that it was like in a Nintendo Direct or something in the West, but clearly that is not the case. The game was recently released in Japan, I think at the end of February, and also at, like in outside of Japan, Persona 5 Royal, which is the Persona 5 like remake enhanced edition, has been released, and Atlus sent a survey to customers who had been playing Persona 5 Royal, asking them if they'd be interested in a Western localization of the Scramble spin-off game, which again is news to me because I thought it had already been announced. So there you go.
Yeah, it's also just one of those things where Atlus puts out surveys asking anyone if you're interested in any of their games coming to any platform in any territory. So it doesn't even really imply that it will come to the West, but good to note that it is not yet.
Well, and it also
or
seems
not
like
announced yet.
Right, and it also seems like they like who knows what these surveys actually do, because remember like a couple of weeks ago we were reporting on a survey from Atlus asking about like, hey, which of these games are you interested in coming to Switch? Catherine Full Body was on that list, And Catherine Full
Yeah.
Body was just announced, so like it had to have already been in the works for Switch before they were sending out the survey. So who knows what any of this means? If nothing else, it's a learning opportunity for myself because now I know not to be looking forward to Persona 5 Scramble.
Okay, but hold on. Also, like, were you interested in Persona 5 Scramble?
No, not really. But now I'm like doubly not interested because I can't have it, and so it's like fine. I never wanted it anyways.
Yeah, and Mark's crossing his arms right now and turning away from the camera.
I am saucy. The Outer Worlds, the Obsidian developed RPG, that was announced with a Switch port that was originally supposed to be released this month, and has a new release date. You'll remember that it got delayed a few weeks ago indefinitely because of the COVID-19 outbreak. I believe the developer of the port, the studio is based in Shanghai, so they were affected early in the pandemic. But with China slowly opening back up, it must mean the development is continuing because the game is now scheduled for release on June 5th, both physically and digitally.
And that's exciting. Outer Worlds was a big deal on all other platforms, and I'm still very curious to see like how it runs on Switch. And it's nice to know that it's got a like this is the opposite of all the other news that we're getting
Mm-hmm.
about new video game releases and upcoming releases. That like everything's getting like canceled or put off, or I guess canceled isn't right, but we're seeing a lot of things delayed indefinitely. I guess Mark, you and I haven't talked about the Last of Us Part Two being delayed indefinitely on this show. Again, it's a Nintendo show, I know, so I'm sorry. But it is definitely like a bellwether for the rest of the industry that the thrust of that story is that they are delaying it, not necessarily because the game isn't ready to go, but that like the marketing machine behind it, that would be necessary for it to be released right now cannot be spun up due to COVID-19.
Yeah, I mean, even just like logistically, right? Like so many GameStops are shut down, so many like Best Buys, people are spending less money because, everybody's a little bit worried
Hmm.
about what's going to happen. So yeah, it's I think Kotaku was reporting that yeah, like development was basically done, that it wasn't a question of like is the game finished? It's just a question of like does it make sense for us to release it right now? And it was determined that like no, for something this big, it doesn't. Which like is interesting. It's also interesting that they're just like indefinitely, and I guess like as they see what the um how everything like breaks out, that
Yeah.
they'll schedule it for probably it's like as soon as it makes sense. I think it's interesting that they are for the Outer Worlds, that they're saying June 5th, both like physically and digitally. Originally like it was going to release digitally in April and then physically at a later date, and
Oh
then
yeah.
with this delay they're able to do it together. But again, like just even like the logistics of having a physical release right now is super interesting to me to see that they're forging ahead with that.
Yeah, well, I would have to imagine that like the marketing angle of that is significantly smaller, right, than something like The Last of Us Part Two, where like it is a port a year later, for a game that a lot of people liked, but it wasn't like this enormous blockbuster thing, um, and I think just as far as like the actual marketing is concerned, that Nintendo's also pretty good at just repping their stuff digitally and getting, and again, I know that's all being targeted right at my face or right at every my Twitter feed, my Instagram feed, but like I always see I see Nintendo ads all the time. So like I think they've got that pretty well locked down. Not to say that Sony doesn't, but just it's probably enough to meet the like marketing demand of the port for Outer Worlds.
Yeah, and I'm sure not just like the marketing demand, but also just like the market demand. Like The Last of Us 2
Yes.
is going to be one of the biggest games of the year. And so it
Hmm.
makes sense for them to delay it until like there's a time. I'm sure they spent an enormous amount of money, to make The Last of Us 2. So
Yeah.
they want to do everything they can to make sure that they recoup that cost.
Mm-hmm.
The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 was just recently announced to be coming to Switch this summer. And just this week, NIS America announced that Trails of Cold Steel 4 will be releasing on Switch and PC in 2021. The game is already going to be releasing on the PS4 this fall, and where I think it's like mostly been a PlayStation. Falcom. It's developed by Falcom in Japan. They are like pretty much have sworn allegiance to PlayStation, but it's interesting to see like NIS America continue to port these games over to like the Switch and PC. I think Ease 8 was the first one that they did, and
Mm-hmm.
then Trails of Cold Steel will be the next one, and now we already know that Trails of Cold Steel 4 it will be coming next year.
It'll be interesting to see because like I don't know that we have a lot of I mean there must be some, but like I don't know what the North America interest for any of the NIS series really is. And it'll be interesting to see if any of these really like latch on anywhere, if there are like any corners of the gaming population in North America that are like going to, like let these games in.
Yeah, I mean, like clearly they're profitable. I feel like, or they wouldn't continue to bring them over. And I feel like with something like this, like, and this is a total guess, but like 100,000, 200,000, like those types of numbers are probably like all they need to have it be sustainable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what that means for like the quality of like the localization and stuff like that. Because like again, to bring it back to the Final Fantasy VII remake, one of the things I really like about what I'm seeing is that it seems like it is a JRPG in like kind of gameplay and like style and stuff like that, but is like seems to be localized or like performed like a Western AAA release with like the sort of attention to like subtlety of character detail and like maybe a little bit less on like the anime spectrum of that kind of presentation.
Yeah, I mean, when Ease 8 was released on Switch last year or 2 years ago, was it at this point? One of the big problems they had was the quality of the localization, and they released multiple patches in quick succession after release to try to, like address a lot of those concerns. But I also think that, like, if you're a fan of these franchises or you're a fan of, like, this
Yeah.
type of game or like NIS America's other releases that they've brought over, like it just kind of comes with the territory. You understand that this is not a Final Fantasy VII remake. You are just happy to have these games localized at all. And of course you want it to be
Yeah.
like, like just like the expectation is different for those types of
Yeah,
releases, I think.
absolutely.
E3 2020 has, of course, already been canceled, but the ESA is looking ahead to 2021, and they have set June 15th to June 17th, 2021 for E3 next year. And they're still they're still promising that the show will be, like, quote, reimagined, whatever that means.
I mean, obviously that's what they were promising for this year. But also like the entire all trade shows in 2021 will have to be reimagined, right? Like even when we're not under the sort of like lockdown or safer at home or whatever sort of orders you are under, depending on what country or state or city or whatever you live in. I feel like it's going to be a while before people want to go to conventions, which are famously disease-ridden places. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see like where we are at this or at that point in 2021. But and then like on top of that, there is the like waning relevance of E3 in the first place.
Yeah, I completely agree because like just the fact that E3 isn't happening this year, like E3 was already kind of on the decline and having to figure out what it was going to be, and this just like accelerates that to the nth
Mm-hmm.
degree because suddenly like yeah, companies literally just do not have E3 this year. So, if they don't need it this year, are they going to look at all the money they spent on that and be like, wow, like does it even matter? Um, so yeah, I think the ESA trying to figure out. I mean, really, just the ESA trying to figure out where it fits into the industry,
Yeah.
is has been interesting to watch recently, and so I'm curious what E3 2021 ends up looking like, in whatever form it takes. But
And look, we'll still apply to go. Like, whatever it
that's
is,
that's
we'll still
just
try to go.
it's just who we are. Um, to help fill the void left by E3, IGN announced a new Summer of Games, or excuse me, Summer of Gaming event. Have to get the nomenclature right, for early June. So trying to keep that June excitement from E3 going.
Mhm.
It promises, quote, with E3 2020 canceled, IGN has a suite of programming planned to kick off in early June. It includes publisher presentations with IGN pre and post discussions, remote developer interviews, hands-on demos and preview impressions, gameplay, and news segments recapping the biggest announcements. They've announced participants to include 2K, Square Enix, Sega, Bandai Namco, Amazon, Google Stadia, Twitter, Devolver Digital, and THQ Nordic at this point. And they're saying that future participants will be announced in the coming weeks.
Super smart move from IGN, I think. That so many of us experience E3 through IGN's coverage of it anyway. IGN and other outlets, of course, but like if they can control like where and when those messages are premiered, that makes them the first stop for everyone. Like it seems super smart. Thing to note: Nintendo is not on the list of participants. And we've been assuming that Nintendo is just going to run a direct, the Tuesday morning, the week that E3 would have been anyway, because they're a juggernaut and you can't stop them. But it'll be interesting to see if they team up with IGN, if they end up not doing any of it at all, how Nintendo fits into the E3 shaped hole in the calendar is going to be really interesting to see.
It's I didn't write it down as a news item, but like also missing from the list is Bethesda and somebody from Bethesda. And again, I probably should have written this down. But they
Pete Hines.
Yes, yeah, they said they're not doing a digital event. They are basically just like opting out this year. So I guess I bring that up because one of the reasons I think it makes a ton of sense for IGN to be hosting this kind of event is in the lead up to E3, all of these companies, or a lot of companies, are working with IGN. They are planning out the PR coverage for their big announcements that were going to be happening at E3.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of this was probably already in the works anyways, and so IGN was able to just pivot and kind of like remove E3 from the equation. I do think it'll be interesting to see what Nintendo ends up doing. Like, yeah, if they just forge ahead, basically pretending like like E3 or not E3, we can do a Treehouse Live. Potentially, I guess it depends, because at that point, who knows if people will still be working remotely from Nintendo of America. So maybe you can't do a Treehouse Live.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder like how much you could just do like a two-person FaceTime, put Chris and Krista on either ends of an iPhone, and
yeah, no, I mean, I guess you could. That's basically what IGN is going to be doing. So I
yeah.
guess it is totally possible. But yeah, I'm super curious to see how all this evolves. And, if this Summer of Gaming event for IGN is a really big success, then again, how much do you need E3 and that like physical presence at that point?
Yeah. Oh, and like E3 or IGN has such a big reach that like, one of the reasons that people are so excited about E3 is that like it is the moment that like everyone is talking about games and gaming. And I think IGN is the one outlet that is big enough that they can say, okay, guys, this is the week where we're all going to talk. They can become the new ESA basically and say, you don't
Yeah.
need a show floor. We've got this website.
Yep, and like EA can still do their thing, like Microsoft can still do
Totally.
their thing, like yeah, I'm super curious to see how it all shapes up. The ARMS free access period for Nintendo Switch Online users came to an end yesterday, but kind of like a surprise, it had been a while since Nintendo had held a party crash, which is like ARMS
Oh, yeah.
equivalent of a Splatfest. But they actually had one. They brought it back for during the free access period. The players chose between Springman and Ribbon Girl, and Springman ended up winning with 52% of whatever it is that you do that causes you to win in a ARMS party crash.
It's a real nail biter there, that one, between Springman and Ribbon Girl. My two least favorite characters in that game.
Not even the crazy like DNA strand thing.
Yeah, even the crazy DNA strand, even the clown girl, like Springman and Ribbon Girl are just they're so like default character, right? It's also weird like that these party crash things are always just one character versus another character. They're never like Splatoon would do ketchup versus mustard, right?
Right.
Or I guess mayonnaise versus ketchup, I guess is what it was. That vile weekend when all of the paint was that like sickly white color.
Here's what I'll say for Springman. Like he's kind of hot. So
Mark, I don't see it. Kind of hot.
Respectfully disagree.
All right.
Finally, with Nintendo and Microsoft collaborating on like a number of projects recently, Cuphead, not just released for Switch, but also part of Smash Brothers, Ori and the Blind Forest coming to Switch, Banjo and Kazooie ending up in Smash. We've heard crazy rumors, of like a Game Pass showing up on Switch or something. So yeah, obviously with like the announced projects and all the rumors, there's been a lot of speculation about like what other Microsoft projects might end up on Nintendo platforms. Xbox's Phil Spencer was recently on the IGN Unlocked podcast, and the subject came up, and it's worth listening to the whole thing. But basically, I'm just gonna kind of summarize here instead of reading direct quotes because they're kind of long. But basically, what he says is that like he loves Nintendo, he loves collaborating with them, but that said, what they're finding is that it's kind of confusing to consumers that like every time a new Xbox game is announced or something, there's all over the internet, like you Google the game's name and there's like a bunch of speculation about when it's coming to Switch, right?
Yeah.
And so he says that the development partners have been the ones who have kind of like wanted to work with Nintendo, and Microsoft has been supportive of that, and so that's why we've seen those games show up on Switch. But that Xbox doesn't love that there's this expectation that Xbox games will come to Switch, so he feels like they have to do a better job of setting expectations, is what he says.
Yeah, which makes sense and is also just like part of the weird internet curse of being associated with a Nintendo product, right?
Yeah.
Is that like, and also just the weird internet curse of all video games right now, which is the question is always when is it coming to Switch for everything? But like Microsoft does have this like kind of precedent now where like, yeah, a few of our things do come to, that you wouldn't expect are in fact coming to Switch. So like, I can see where that is like a point of frustration for them, and something that they would need to clear up in order to kind of solidify what their brand is and what the brand offers, right? Like it has got to be super confusing to anytime you announce a new game that all the conversation about it is just when is it coming to Switch? On the subject of The Last of Us 2, I follow Neil Druckmann, the writer of that game, on Twitter. And a couple days ago, he tweeted about Onward, the Pixar movie Onward, because it just came to Disney Plus. And his tweet reads, "Onward wrecked me, full on sobbing by the end. If you're into emotions, highly recommended." And then in parentheses, he wrote, Cue request for demo and or digital release in 3, 2, 1. Because he knows he can't say anything on Twitter without people harassing him about the things that they harass him about. So he can't express he liked a Pixar movie without getting people asking for a digital release of The Last of Us 2 or a demo. Which means it's the same thing, right? It's that people
Right.
know the one thing that they can complain to him about, and they're doing it. It's the same as the Xbox when's it coming to Switch thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're right that like it's just the curse of the internet. I was looking at one of like Nintendo of America's tweets today, and a bunch of the replies were like, "This isn't a Mario remaster announcement," just like all that kind of stuff. Those poor underpaid social media people who are just like scheduling these tweets, and have to deal with all this nonsense. I think it's so interesting the relationship that like Xbox and Nintendo have and how they are just like naturally closer allies than like Nintendo and Sony will ever be, because like Nintendo and Sony, they are built-in bad blood from the like development of the PlayStation, and like because of Microsoft's purchase of Rare all those years ago, like Xbox and Nintendo have just always been like legally entwined, and so they've always just had to like work closer together, and now that's like bearing fruit in an interesting way.
Yeah, well, I think it also has to just do with Xbox being a little bit more they're trying to get on as many platforms or trying to play as nicely with as other platforms as possible, and both Sony and Nintendo are a little bit more sort of like walled off in their approach to an ecosystem. It's cool and interesting to see all these Microsoft games and characters on Switch, but like we haven't seen a Nintendo game on Xbox, and we're not gonna, so like it's almost less a Nintendo issue, I think, than it is a Microsoft issue. And Nintendo's just like a little bit more like open to new collaborators in an era where they have a machine that people always want to play Nintendo platforms, but like there is a wide demand for Nintendo software and hardware.
Oh, one other thing that I wanted to bring up is that yesterday I was looking at the like on sale section in the eShop, and there is a wild amount of games on sale right now. Just like
there's a big Sega sale right now, like just about like all the Sega Ages games are marked down like 50%. Sonic Forces, if you don't want to borrow it from me, you can buy it for cheaper now. But really you should buy it from me. Also, if you're interested in buying the Mario and Sonic at the 2020 Olympic Games, that's going to be the only thing associated with 2020 Olympic Games.
That's right.
Because they've been pushed to 2021.
Forgot about that. Oh my gosh. They'll have to reissue it.
Is 2021? Do you think they will?
No, because I think the Olympics are still going to be called the 2020 Olympics.
Wild.
Yep.
All right, Mark. Let's get out of the news. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you share stuff. On Twitter, I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. Remember, we are talking about Super Metroid on Wednesday night. So email us your observations, observations about the game. I hope you're playing along with us. You can email those to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and we will fold them on into the show. All right, let's get out of here. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers. Just letting you know that Onward is very good. Neil Druckmann is correct. You should check it out. That central relationship really works. And thanks for listening.
That's right, Nintendo Cartridge Society listeners, what is going down?
Are you ready for a promo?
Let's do yoga. Let's get fit.
Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Muriel.
And we're the hosts of Hella in Your 30s.
A podcast about a cool couple trying to do adult stuff.
So each week we invite you to join us as we try to learn things we should probably already know, like how does a stock market work? Can we install that bidet? Why are all of our houseplants dying?
This is a podcast for people of all ages because remember,
age ain't nothing but a number.
But being hella in your 30s is a state of mind.
So tomorrow's a new day, let's order pizza.
Campfire.